in like centuries. I don't care.
What is this?
Ooh, I gotta change that too because we don't have Narissa. Or not Narissa. We don't have Vestara.
I believe we established water was too flavorful for him.
Gage? I thought y'all gave him alcohol.
Yeah,
Welcome.
and then we gave him water, and he went, "Ugh, too strong."
Welcome everyone to Dungeon Mechanics, where water is spicy. We are here for another exciting episode of Dusk of Achordia, and some things happened in last episode. So Shade in the previous episode left kind of second half, so we went and talked about what they were up to. So they went to the theater district
Yeah.
and encountered one of their friends named Kaya, which is not confusing. If you know, you know. And Shade convinced her to come with them to meet their other friends. And when they got back, they encountered the party eventually, and the rest of them all kind of started to head to the arrival of a god, Orden. After they made it to the theater district again, they saw that there was a huge crowd gathered, and Maul and I think the others recognized that Lady Madam Ivy was there. So as Maul does, he waved, and she came over. They had a long discussion. She found out, or Maul found out, that not only was he a Malmera, but so was she, and so was some other people that he had encountered before, not knowingly. The Malmera were champions of each of the gods, and Lady Ivy is the champion. Madam Ivy is the champion of Orden. And when Orden arrived,
Milady Ivy.
Milady Ivy. He was the cutest frog guy that you could probably ever see. He had a long beard and a crinkly old hat and a wrinkly old cane. But he proceeded to gather all of the party members onto the stage, sans a dashkin, and subjected them to a test of scales. I don't know. The party was split on 2 different scales, and they had to answer questions and hopefully not die. And after a series, they all answered questions, and with the assistance of Narissa using her 3rd spell of the campaign, fourth, no one died, and they were able to successfully recruit Orden, to which they asked where should they head next, and all agreed to meet with Ilor, the goddess of sorrow, the weeping widow. And
Eeyore.
Oh no. Oh, I guess that does fit. They headed through a portal, and that's where we'll pick up Meow. So, as you all head through this portal, you see on the other side clearly that it is, much to the behest of any of you, the ground floor of Achordia. I think only Gil and probably Shade at some point have been on Achordia physically, but the rest of you, this is kind of new. So I'll describe things as I play some music, because it was super quiet in my ear.
I mean, everyone else fell to the surface of Achordia.
Yeah, but I mean, Maul and Narissa got crushed, so I don't think they saw the scenic view of
There's a couple
Achordia.
I remember. Giant creature.
Yeah.
A very brief fling.
You touch
Oh,
the ground,
wolves.
and you get a flashback of impact.
We touch the ground with our whole.
Oh my gosh.
You seem lighter this time.
So, the sky of Achordia has always been purple, for lack of a better term. Various shades of purple. So
Very, very dusk-like, right?
yes. Well,
Dusk
yes.
of Achordia.
Yeah.
I hate it here. Oh. But no, like instead of having a normal blue sky, you have a lavender sky or a dark kind of violet, depending on if it's nighttime. That part's normal. What isn't normal, however, is the grass is a mixture of black and like decay. The ground looks desolate, and there is kind of a aura of darkness that kind of like permeates around the land. Any trees or foliage that you see is long since dead. There's no life, for lack of a better term. And as you all arrive on Achordia, the portal closes, and you notice Vestar is not with you. But as the portal closes behind you, Orden kind of like looks at all of you. Well, are you all ready to go meet my sister?
Where'd the Stara go?
Which one was she?
The one that's not here.
I'm joking! She dipped out a bit. I felt a little disturbance in the force, if you will. Yes, the force of me forcing y'all through the portal. So, she seems to be preoccupied at the moment.
Okay. I have a question. So does this look like our surface back in our version of Achordia?
Roll a either nature or history check.
Do I do the same?
Mm-hmm.
I am a 12.
I expected this to be brighter.
17.
Okay. With the 12, there's no like clear indication of it being either. With y'all having been on Fellcrest just prior to here, there wasn't a chance to like look at any sound landmarks to see if there was a difference between that one and the one that you were used to.
Okay.
Speaking of landmarks, is the city above us?
You don't see a city. But then again, if you did see a city, it would be like way too high to even kind of notice, especially with
Right, because the purpose is it to not be seen.
with a 17 shade, you can't necessarily tell that you're back. How to word this? You can't tell if you're on that Fellcrest's Achordia or your Achordia, but you do get this like familiar sense of having been here before. Not so much here looking around you, nothing like points out between that dead tree and the other dead tree, but like physically being here.
This. I honestly can't tell if we're. It feels like I've been here before, but not really.
Oh, we have some land dwellers in the party.
visitors occasionally.
Once upon a time, yeah.
Not me.
You know, years ago,
Hmm.
a lot of the mortals that live on Fellcrest used to live on Achordia. Back when it was, sustainable.
How long ago was that?
Oh, over 100 years, you know. You know as wars go. Things die off, namely the planet.
What caused it to die?
Well, between the war, loss of champions, and the awakened creatures that are essentially designed to protect the world being destroyed, you could say a lot of factors caused it.
Loss of champions?
Yes, like yourself.
But primarily Malmanis?
I'm sorry, dearie, did you...
Marshmallows? Malmaras?
Oh, Malmaras! Yes, yes. Like, my dear Ivy here.
What champions were lost?
How were they lost?
Well. Oh, you all don't know! Ha! I always forget young people. So, think of it this way.
Some of us aren't so young, we just don't remember.
Oh, so you're in the
I
other
had no
boat.
reason to know.
Going way back, there's this thing called the Triperian Empire that lives on Achordia. They don't have magic, however, they have advanced technology, if you will. And in order to get that technology, they began to leech the life from the planet. However, the planet has its own protectors, if you will. And when those protectors sensed that the planet was dying, they went to go fight the source. And the source was the Triperian Empire. Now, as you might be thinking, doesn't that just mean Triperian Empire versus these land creatures? Well, no. The Empire made it their business to strike down anyone that got in their way, which included the people of Achordia, who also didn't want their world to end, if you will. Many were lost, and the rest kind of rights itself.
Why did the Triperian Empire not care about the fact that they were destroying their own planet?
Well, some believe that they don't have much intention of staying here for long.
Where are they planning to go?
Yeah, where are they now?
Well, if there was someone from the Empire here to say it, we could ask them. But I would not recommend that. They're not very nice people.
We all look over to Dash.
Is he with us?
He's always with us.
Yes, and always
Why
forgotten
would
about.
you? Why would you look at Dash?
Yes.
He's not part of the Triperian
Yes.
Empire.
Is he not? I thought he was part of
No.
the
No.
The relations?
Why are
The
you looking at me? The relations. Those aren't the same thing.
Well, I don't know that. Shane doesn't know that.
Why are you looking at me like that, Shade?
You're not part. Oh, okay. Not bad.
The Triperiod Empire keeps trying to access diademia. They probably don't care about this world because they're trying to leave. And because when they try to leave, it resets. It's part of what we're trying to stop.
Why would they leave to go to another world?
I don't know.
Are they?
I
Are they
don't
from this
understand their
world
motivations.
originally?
They were created here, yes.
Who created them?
Gods.
Well,
Specifically.
Ysilde and Sin are kind of opposites to one another. Ysilde created what you all would know to be the family. Don't worry, you're safe. And Sin created the Triperian Empire.
Sorry. Isilde created the... Okay. I don't think we knew that. Did we know that?
Not explicitly.
Now, the family has access to ether, magic, if you will, and the Triperians do not.
Okay. And the Triperians seem to really not like it either, if I recall.
Yes, they think of it as blasphemous.
Where do those beliefs stem from?
Jealousy.
Um,
They don't have it, so it must be bad.
Considering ether is the same source used to power this planet, one could argue that using magic is the equivalent of them also not having, or them having less resources.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, but when you use magic, you're not depleting it. You're just shaping it.
That depends on which source of magic you use. Some of it has renewal properties. Others, a bit forbidden.
Well, I don't know anything about that. Or at least I don't know.
Yeah, I wish we had someone more familiar with the arcane.
I don't know what you're talking about.
When you say that, what do you mean? What kind of magic would
Yeah.
we have? Because I could cast spells. There could cast spells.
Right.
Most
risk.
of the magic that you have has its limits or repercussions, if you will. If you use too much magic in a short period of time, you usually have to answer to the planet itself from where the magic originates. However, since the planet's dead, you have to answer to the Weeping Widow, my sister, Ilor. And she has a far less, how to say that? Since her husband was the planet and her husband died in the war, people who use magic frivolously kind of get on her bad side. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Well, we don't have to worry then.
Okay.
So, just for clarity's sake, because I'm sure that everyone fully understands what's happening, but just to make sure we are all clear.
Yes, for the metaphorical chats out there.
The frog life.
Frog pool.
There's a difference between the Traperian Empire fighting the and Accord and Diadem fighting with the darkness. Those are two different historical events that have happened in our world's lifetime.
Yes, yes. The first one you spoke of happened maybe a little over 100 years ago. However, your world, as well as this diadem or diademia, as it's also referred to, goes through various cycles of renewal or restarts. So, this war in question has happened countless times, and the other reference that you spoke of happened at the beginning, before those cycles began.
You're talking about the one that happened before those cycles is the one
Yes,
between
the
Accord
Truvant
and-
War.
Yes, the Truvant War, right.
Who triggers the restarts?
Well, there's a lot of different triggers, if you will. In the past, the Triperian Empire causes a lot of triggers to happen by...
Sure, but like, who set up the system where this shit all restarts? Who was like, you know what? When certain things go down, we're gonna just start again. Or what?
Well, a restart generally happens when the worlds in question vie for becoming extinct. Generally, in the past, the Triperian Empire will deplete this planet of its resources, plane shift over to Diademia, repeat the process, and if those at Diademia do not stop them, well, the planet dies.
And so who restarts it? Is it you and your brothers and sisters?
Ha!
You basically just
I wish I
start
had
it
that
all over
power,
again?
but I do not. It's the gods over in Diademia.
What are their names?
What dickheads?
Their names?
Oh,
Well, they're not.
God.
They're not. I wouldn't say they're dickheads, right? Because I mean, they restart the world with hopes of it not happening again, right?
Or they restart the world because they're bored.
or they restart the world because things aren't going in their favor.
But they were restarting it after it's been destroyed. It's sort of a renewal.
said-
We're
he
trying to
said-
stop it from being destroyed, or that's what we hope to do. Or that's what I hope to do. I don't know everyone's motives, but I mean,
I thought we were trying to start the reset, but the planet's already dying. The world's already dying or dead. But
this
I
part of
mean,
it, maybe it's not dead on the Diademia side yet. And if we can stop, I don't know. I just know that our purpose is to recruit these gods and goddesses, and with hopes that we can stop this endless cycle. The more I hear about this, the more I feel insignificant and helpless to be able to have an effect, because these are huge, monumental, as you say, world-ending events, and there's just the 7 of us. Excuse me, Dash. I'm sorry.
I mean, If you look at it that way. But even a pebble can move a mountain.
Well, isn't there another threat on the horizon too? It's the big world eater that's coming, or is that part of this cycle?
Oh, the world eaters are out there.
Is that a secondary worry at this point, or is
Well,
still something we need to concern ourselves with?
you should probably concern yourselves with it.
Okay. How concerned is Diademia with world eaters, or is that an Achordia problem?
So, it's better if I show you examples. He forms two spheres in front of him. One is kind of like a purplish sphere, and another one's like a goldish one. Let's say these two are Diademia and Achordia, accordingly.
We're the golden one, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. And let's say
I don't think that's accurate.
in between the space between these two touching, is another source of extra overflow energy, if you will. The World Eaters live within that plane of existence. However,
Okay.
most healthy worlds, and he holds up Diademia to you, have magical protection. And should you have a planet such as Accord, where that protection is no longer there, the World Eaters can more or less breach the gap a lot easier. And if there's collective ether, such as the child that you all carry with you in your party,
Oh, cool.
it's like a beacon, if you will.
Cool. So how might one reinstate the magics that prevent the world eaters from permeating the whatever permeable thing there is?
Well, you're partly doing it. Convincing the gods to take up their mantle once again. But it'll take a little bit more than that.
For example?
Well, the thing with restarts is the cycle will continue unless you fix the issue that causes it in the first place.
Which is?
We have to stop a war.
That's how to stop.
Right?
Yes. There is a very large battle ahead of all of you if you continue down this path.
Yeah. There's a very large battle ahead for all of us.
Well, the way it sounds is we're doomed to die again for some of us. Either way.
So do you want to turn back now?
No? Just trying to figure out a game plan.
What is the distinction between Accord and Achordia?
So this goes back to before I was even created, so let me dust off the old... Accord was this planet's original name. Achordia is the god that was born from the planet over time. And similarly, the same thing happened over in Diademia.
So weird to have so much chaos on war on a planet whose name is based off of peace. What an accord is.
Yeah.
Accord versus discord.
So this god that we're going to go meet.
Oh,
The Weeping Widow.
I should probably warn you all. Do any of you have any uncontained trauma that you haven't resolved yet?
Fuck off!
No.
No.
Are you sure? I mean, you don't have to tell me if you do or don't.
No.
But if you get close enough to Ilor, she'll find it out from you.
Oh, I mean, abso-fucking-lutely. It's fine.
Also, are any of you blight susceptible? Do we have any magic uses?
I feel like you should know that as a god.
If-
I am giving you the option to lie to me, young dear.
Well,
And again, what use would it be to lie to a god?
Plenty use. You can deceive a god.
Doubt.
Uh,
Also, you
the
saw me
point-
cast a spell.
so let me clarify. If you are able to cast a spell, what happens?
You're susceptible to blight.
Right, but being in her presence, even if you don't cast a spell, you're just automatically infected?
I would like to say no, but
I would say that depending on your magical leanings, for example, a warlock who gets her magic from a source, a person, a deity, probably is less susceptible to blight due to the fact that their magic is tethered to a specific being. However, somebody who gets their magic from the ether itself would be more susceptible because they could get their magic from anything.
Well, I mean, I get the spells I cast are powered by Silde.
So you'll probably be more fine than other people.
My powers derive from my own convictions.
well, are your convictions, convict worthy?
Gage just believes in himself and he can do it all.
Sounds like the Warhammer orcs.
Yeah.
Yeah, Maul? Maul takes out some minis.
I don't know. I just dabble, like a little nature, little ether, just like
You
a
have
little bit.
very interesting eyes.
Oh, I forgot about that. That was an accident.
Really?
What?
Her true sight.
Oh.
Yeah. I got like pulled into something and exposed to some ether and then didn't die, and that happened. Do I need to stay away from your sister?
You go blind.
Staying away isn't really the thing once we get there.
So let's just go.
Dax, if you
Does
blind
anyone have
me-
something they need to
If you
do?
blind a range-based ranger,
Blind sight after 60 feet.
Oh, yeah.
blind sight period. Just
I
so
don't,
whatever.
I don't
Or
necessarily
true sight.
know where I get my magic from. I just kind of play music, and it just kind of works.
Well, you'll just stand with me in the back.
But he's the one who's good at talking.
Oh my god.
Actually, you both are the ones that are good. Maybe
And
you
yet
shouldn't
we're
give
never
me
the ones
that.
that do it.
I think Shane does.
Occasionally.
Sometimes it makes me want to punch him what he says, but it seems to work. Or not punch him, but just like pull him away by his ear.
Mhm.
But it works. So I just sit there clenching my fists.
Unless you think that there is something we can do to better prepare ourselves, I don't think that delaying any longer is the right choice.
I agree with Narissa.
So, is there something we can do to prepare ourselves further, or shall we let you lead the way to your illustrious sister?
All right,
You should use sarcasm.
let's go.
I didn't say that was sarcasm. She sounds great.
So you see the ribbit feet start to head towards further into this kind of like blight field.
Do his footsteps like.
But right now everybody's fits kind of do that. The ground's sort of wet.
Avoiding touching anything that looks blighty.
Avoid touching anything in general.
Yeah.
As y'all get closer, there's this humming presence that kind of like weighs down on you. Invisibly weight, that is. There's nothing actually there. But your steps feel weighted the more and more that you're approaching what you believe to be the goddess's dominion. I would like each of you to roll a skill check. But you get to choose what that skill check is.
Any
Yeah.
skill?
Does it have to make sense to the scenario or the situation?
We'll find out.
Do we tell you or do we?
Nope, you gotta tell me.
Okay.
Do perception?
Okay.
26.
26. Perception. You can't use perception if you're using it, other people.
I had a
I'm gonna-
feeling.
Ah,
I'm
sorry.
gonna use stealth.
Okay.
Okay.
25.
25 stealth. 26 perception.
What are you going for, Narissa?
I don't know. Are we trying to roll high?
I don't know. It's up to
I
you.
don't know.
You don't even know the context.
I was gonna go with deception because Narissa lives in a life of lies.
Okay.
Gauge.
Like stealth isn't even my best skill, but I was like, it seems
Luck for shade. Luck is a free reroll, chat. What'd you get for deception?
23.
Well, these are really good rolls. I probably shouldn't say that before everybody had a chance to roll.
Gauge.
Uh-huh.
What are you gonna go with?
I'm not sure.
I want you to go first.
Inspo for Maul.
Thank you, chat.
that's a D6, right?
Yeah, D6 to any rolls except for damage.
Thank you, Miss Moonelf.
What I'm afraid of is that we use these skills and then we no longer have access to them for the rest of the encounter.
That was also
I
consideration.
didn't think about that until right now, but
Andrew's idea.
Well, it's like I said, it's not even my best skill, so
I think we're gonna go with intimidation.
Ooh, gauge. the Intimidator.
17. Middling roll.
That's the case. That's a 26 with performance.
You did performance.
Yeah, I have a higher thing, but I'll save that.
I was tempted to do an attack roll. This is
You no longer attack.
Shade and Gil, roll me a d20.
You know, initiative is an ability check. Just saying.
oh,
I can't roll initiative. I can't participate in
Not
combat.
a skill check.
Guess I'll just see myself out.
Have fun, guys.
hold on. I'm trying to roll it online, but I accidentally kept clicking the D20 and it was
She
gonna roll a bunch
rolls
of them, and I just need one.
60-20.
Oh.
Just take the best one.
Yeah. That's a 2.
Oh
It's
my.
okay, I got a 1.
What?
Hyper advantage.
Okay. So you all are walking, and you start to hear, kind of in unison, crying or weeping. Sort of soft, melodic. But no matter which direction you look, it seems to have the same sort of resonating pitch.
So it's coming from like everywhere.
Yeah.
Not creepy.
Gil, with a 26 for perception, you hear the crying. And at first it gives you like that goosebump feel, like you're being watched, but you're not sure from which direction you're being watched. And as you look around, you notice that you're by yourself. And you look at the ground and you're standing on the surface of this like murky pool. What would you like to do?
Looking at the pool, does my vision reveal anything weird or anywhere around me?
There is a slight dark aura around it, but it's so pitch black that you can't see anything but like your reflection kind of hitting you back at you.
And I'm standing on the surface of it. Like,
Yes.
That doesn't sound precarious at all. Standing on liquid. Is there anything that looks to be solid land in any direction?
With a 26 perception, you see kind of this circular island bay up ahead of you. The pool kind of like wraps around it, and there's a large like willow tree in the middle of it.
Okay. So I'm gonna take how far away is it?
About 30 feet.
Cool. So I'm gonna take my 50 feet of rope and like wrap one end around an arrow and one around my waist, and just so I've got some kind of anchoring just in case, like shoot an arrow into that land and then walk my way over there. But I just want some reinsurance just in case this liquidy surface turns to what it looks like.
Okay.
as
Roll
I
me
head towards the land.
a distance attack.
A distance attack?
Yeah, I imagine you shoot it with your bow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
25.
Sweet. So, You tie it to the arrow. You tie it to. Did you say yourself?
Yes.
Okay, and then you shoot the arrow, and
Just wanted to sink in very
it
nicely into the
strikes
terra
true.
firma.
Feels solid. You give it a good tug. Then you proceed to walk towards that island.
I'm gonna like. This is probably overkill, but I'm gonna like kind of spin towards the island, so I'm taking up the slack, so I have less I can fall in. It's soft.
Okay.
I'm reeling it in while I go.
Okay. As you reel in, you get to the edge. You have maybe like 4 or 5 layers of rope around you. But you get there and it's just like taut until the or you reel it up like a hose, and then you get to where you need to be, and your foot finds purchase on the ground.
Okay. So I assume I'm like kind of like on the shore between, and there's like pool and land. Like, is there a clear
Yeah, it's
division
like
between-
tree, land, you, and then the pool around it behind y'all.
Could I, still standing on the land, but like on the edge, just what do I have? Just take a dagger and like poke at the pool.
Yeah. As you do that, once you take the dagger, like if it breaches the surface of the pool, once you take it out, that end where it breached is just like covered in this dark film that kind of like drips back into the water, but stays kind of on the blade a bit.
Okay, not touching that. Do I notice anything? Can I check out the willow tree?
Sure. You get up and you turn to the willow tree, and standing right in front of you is a woman.
Hello.
And she looks at you, and from her eyes, there's just like these black pools that kind of like drip down instead of tears. It's just like this blight drainage. Hello.
I'm gonna like awkwardly bow because I don't know what to do in front of God since I haven't meditated on time. Be like, nice to meet you. Do you know where my companions went?
They are here.
Okay. Here?
Not in this physical space with you and I. But they are here.
Okay. I am not the person to be talking to you first. Stack is evil.
That was
That
all
was-
on you, honey. You rolled too good.
No, I rolled a 2 and she rolled a 1 is what this was. That was my too good. So, we're trying to, maybe stop the cycle of the world ending and dying, and are wondering if you'd be willing to help.
I know why you're here.
Okay. Is there any way we could persuade you to help?
Perhaps. But there's something interesting about you.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Not particularly. Just person. Health. But everyone's interesting in their own way.
Would you like to talk about it?
Not particularly, but if you need me to, I will try. I'm not great at talking.
It's fine. Only you and I will hear the conversation.
It's not about people hearing, it's about the having to put things in words. That's the hard part. What would you like me to talk about?
This isn't about myself. I just sense the pain you keep within you.
Pain is part of life.
Yes. But pain can be freeing if you let it out.
I don't know how to do this.
And she kind of like looks at you and then sort of looks over your shoulder at the pool. You could always release your pain into the blight.
Why would I release it? It's part of who I am.
Not if you keep it
Part of what
locked up.
drives me. Having difficulty verbalizing it isn't the same as keeping it locked up.
So you're fine with it where it's at.
For now, yeah. I'll take time to process when I need to, but a lot needs to get done now, so it's hard to take the time.
And
But
she
when I
kind
have
of
time,
looks to her left, and it's this distorting factor as your perception kind of like shifts on the field. Saving the world, recruiting gods. These were not things that you would have agreed to, and yet you have added it to your plate, none the same.
saving the world I would have agreed to. I have people I care about. They're part of the world. Specifically recruiting gods. I'd rather people who are more willing to join us, but you do what you have to do.
We used to
Sorry.
Oh, we used to be very appreciative of the mortals. But
We used to be more appreciative of you. I think we've just forgotten.
it's not your fault. At least, not your generation. What is to be asked of you should not be asked of most mortals.
Is that a question or a statement? Sorry, genuine question.
Statement.
That's what I thought, but I also it's just not a question. Yeah. And I don't necessarily think I'm the most well equipped for the job, but I'm one of who we have, and if not us, then who? You know, someone's got to be willing to try, or there's no hope for anyone. It might be a small hope, but oh god, you're making me talk about feelings.
And she looks at you again. You're a champion.
Yeah, that happened.
You don't agree with it?
I think there was a better choice. There was someone who was willing and desired it and showed mercy, and I think that mercy should have been valued more than whatever I did was. But I'm in this position now, so I will carry on.
So, you wish to recruit us. What are you willing to give up for that?
I'm pretty sure we're all willing to give up our lives in order to save the world if it comes to it. To specifically recruit you, I don't know. What would you ask of me?
Something to ease the pain.
Your pain?
Yes.
What
Though
would ease your pain?
my pain is your pain, is everyone's pain. I feel it all.
Very sorry. I'm desperately trying to think of something that would ease her pain and my pain. And...
Do not worry. You do not have to decide just yet.
Okay.
And she looks at you, and the metaphorical camera kind of like backs out and zooms down towards the pool, and almost like a flip mirror reflection, a mirrored image of the pool is there, and Shade, you're standing
Alone?
Mhm.
I already told the frog I have no trauma. I'm good.
You can try to deceive gods.
What a fucking liar.
I resolved my trauma literally before I got here. Okay?
Did you? Did you? Sweetie, I'm
Says
gonna
the
hold your
voice in your
hand.
head.
You
while I say
started on the
this.
path.
in front of you, Shade. You see each of your party members kind of in a circle standing on the pool around you. And they all have their hand outstretched to you. Do you do anything?
Okay. So they're all in front of me, right? Cool.
Well, like in a circle. So some are behind you, some are to your side.
So they're all reaching inwards,
Yeah.
like to the center of the circle. I'll look at all their faces. What do they look like? What's the feeling that they're conveying?
They look at you earnestly to start. Though, as you look closer, there seems to be like black pools that start to build up in their eyes before it starts to feel, and slowly they're crying.
I'll Oh, well, we can't have that now, can we? We can't have all of you shedding tears. Here. Let me try to ease your pain a little bit. Lift your spirits. And take out the lute. And start playing a song.
Shade,
And-
as you play,
Mhm.
you notice instantly that the notes aren't quite right. You're hitting the right keys, but the sound that's coming out is almost like the minor inversed version of them. And it sounds very haunting rather than comforting.
Okay. Question: Is Dash also in here or no?
You see Maul, Narissa, Gil, and Gage.
That's not gonna work. That sounds out of tune for some reason. Well. Can I reach out to them? Like individually?
Sure. Who do you reach to first?
The one that I'm the closest with? The one that I seem to get along with the most? The one that reminds me of people? Narissa.
Okay, so you reach out to Narissa. By now, her eyes are watering, but it's not liquid clear tears. It's just blight. And do you just reach out to her, or you're like trying to contact?
Contact.
Okay. As you grab her hand, you're thrown into a flurry of memories, is the best that you could put it. And you kind of just see Narissa at various stages of her life, but from an outside looking in perspective. So she's at her shop selling potions to someone, or she's just walking down the street to make an errand real quick. And all of those memories kind of like weave in and out of each other, almost like the metaphorical cameras like panning past windows and buildings, and once it goes through, she's in like a different portion of her life. And then it pans to a much younger form of Narissa.
This is rude.
And you see her frantic, which is not a expression you've seen from her before. And she seems to be talking to someone, and there's like an earnest behind it, but as she's talking, those words are like reverberating but not making like clear just any kind of wording, if you will. And she's talking and talking and like trying to convince this person to do something, and like looking over her shoulder and then going back as if someone could walk in at any time. And then the camera shifts again, and you're standing in just in front of Narissa, who's like sat in a chair, except it's the one where the blight's kind of like pooling from her eyes, and you see a woman behind her, And she looks at you. Why did you choose her?
She reminds me of a past life. Someone that, despite everything, tries to remain to who she truly is. And what else can you ask for? And she's been nothing but kind to me the entire time that we've met.
Do you associate kindness with anything?
I associate kindness with anything. Well, kindness. Kindness that I associate. Yeah. There's a few things. Why do you ask?
The world is filled with all types of emotions. Yet there can be some that people value more than others. For instance, a person who is vengeful may cling to anger more than any of the others. A person in love, endearment, and the cycle continues. But to value kindness, there generally has been a period where the individual noticed a lack of kindness.
It's been. Fuck. Life has not been kind to me, to others. And it's funny that in death, it took for me to die to find someone that I could believe in, that they could believe in me, to have the utmost faith. And it's not to say that the rest of the party isn't kind, because they all have their own ways. But God, you're really gonna make me say it. She reminds me of Kaya, right? And I don't know what to say. To be fully honest with you, I don't know what to say. Like, for once in their life, Shade is just kind of doesn't know how to talk his way out or through this. Because he's so good at talking. Oh, buddy, is he so good at talking.
And you kind of see the Weeping Widow kind of like lurking over Narissa. And you blink, and in that instant she vanish. But you feel her presence behind you as she like clasps her hands on your like shoulder area. I will do you a kindness this day. There are memories that are locked away within your mind that you do not have access to. I can show you these if you would like.
Yeah. Okay.
And as you agree to that, the camera shifts again. Kaya, or oh, I hate it here, Maul. You are sat against like a dead tree, and it feels almost like you dozed off, but you know that's not what you had done recently. But you're kind of like leaned up against this tree, and you open your eyes, and none of the other party members are around, but you're kind of like in this swampish area. What would you like to do?
Hello. I'm gonna stand up, look around, see if I can see where everybody went.
You look around for a bit, and you don't see anyone, but there's not any signs that anyone has been here. There's no like footpaths or anything like that. Just this swampy area.
And is it just when you say swampy, is it, is there any type of undergrowth, or is it just like standing water? Or standing
It's like a mixture. There's like a bog of just grime in front of you, and then that clump of just dead grass and dead trees, some toppled over off in the distance.
and no life of any kind, like animal life or anything.
Mm-mm.
Okay. I'm gonna look to the sky and call out again. Is anyone there? And then I don't hear anything. I'm gonna start walking.
So you get up.
I'll walk in the direction that I was facing when I awoke, so to speak.
Okay. So you get up and you start kind of like walking straight forward. After a while, you hear that like weeping again. But this time it's coming from like a clear direction. It seems to be forward of you, but like if you look right or left, it still seems to be forward.
Okay. Ilor.
And there's more crying.
Ilor, is that you?
And then there's this large like tree, and it sounds like it's coming from like the opposite side of it.
So I'll get within maybe 30 feet of it, and then I'm going to sweep around wide of it. I'm not going to just... I don't want to startle whoever is on the other side of it. So I'm just going to kind of keep talking. Hello, I'm...
So as you know, give it a big enough berth, you see there's this figure kind of like hunched down on the ground, knelt down more so, and they have like a body kind of like nestled in their hand that's smaller. They're wearing like greenish type robes, very plain and simple. And they have horns coming out the top of their head with kind of like pale skin from what you can tell, and a bit darker hair.
The one that's weeping has horns, or the one that they're holding?
The one that's weeping has horns.
Okay. Hello.
And you just hear this. I tried, but it doesn't seem to be working.
What is there anything I can do to help you?
He's gone. He's just gone.
I want to I want to I'm gonna cast Healing Spirit right on top of the person that is gone, and just let it sit there. Hopefully, like kind of renewing every second, trying to help revive them.
Does your healing spirit look like anything specific?
It's sort of an orange glow with like a flickering like flame around the edges, but it's not like a warm flame, or if it is warm, it's only like a warm glow, but like it would be comforting and not obviously not painful. So there's like a warmth to it, but only in a comforting way. But it's like a very dim fire. And it just kind of emanates from like a particular spot in about a 5-foot area.
And you like set it there, and it gives off that kind of healing energy. But the weeping person doesn't seem to react from its like presence.
Can you hear me?
I tried, but I don't think he made it.
What is your name? I'm Maul.
And they kind of just like don't really acknowledge you, and their like backs kind of like facing you.
Mm.
Oh gosh, how are there 28 messages? Oh my god.
Oh my god. Okay, I just got chills because I know who it is.
What would you like to do?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what you're going through. But it's not your fault. Let me help you. And I'm going to put my hand gently on their shoulder and kneel down next to them.
And as you get closer and sort of kneel down, you start to see a non-responsive, non-moving, small, framed, green-skinned individual. And you look over this person's shoulder. And you see Ditch.
Not cool.
Oh no.
That's not cool. Mm. Ditch. Buddy, you have to wake up.
And as your hand tries to make contact with this person, it kind of like goes right through them as if they're not corporeal. And you look down and you can see like it's this like tiefling looking woman holding Ditch, but they're kind of like in a separate space. And in front of you, there is a woman that you haven't met before. You have lost a lot, have you not?
I have.
Oh gosh.
I have.
Can sense all of it. Not just that which you remember. All of your pain.
Apparently, I've been around a while. But you're right. I only remember the last few years. I've recently discovered who I am and where I came from. And it was a lot to take in, but it was something I felt like I sort of, I didn't know it, but I felt something like that. And I'm, over the last day, found out a lot about the history of this world and how I was involved in it at points along the way. But I don't remember the details. I don't remember that which hasn't been told to me.
You have a very branching path for your future. Depending on which decision you choose, many things can change.
My decision about what?
How you choose to proceed.
In this moment?
In all future moments.
Okay. All right. I can accept that. What do you need from me in this moment so that hopefully we can do something about this terrible cycle that has trapped this world in despair?
I would need or ask of you one thing, which is not simple.
I've learned it never is.
There is going to be a choice that your party must make, which will decide whether or not you will be able to proceed forward. Think of this. How much are you willing to sacrifice, Maul?
I would sacrifice anything if I knew it would actually make a difference. If it would actually save the world. But I mean, you know that. I've sacrificed myself apparently many times.
Yes, you have. But this is a choice that lies outside of what you can give of yourself. When the time comes, it will not be you sacrificing yourself. It will be you sacrificing another. There is only one way to open the gate that the Truvant lies beyond. And there is only one member in your party who can do it.
And he's not here right now, is he?
No, he is not. But he is safe.
I made a promise to Ysilde that I would not allow any harm to fall on him.
Yes.
So you're telling me that in order to save the world, I have to betray the one I'm pledged to serve?
In order to save the world, you will have to make the sacrifice when the time comes. Whether or not that betrays your trust with Ysilde will be between you and the goddess.
But how can I sacrifice him even without that pledge? He's innocent. He's been a victim his whole life.
Yes.
When will that be?
There is still time. But once all are gathered, and we must face the Truvant, that is the only way to reach it.
And it falls on me to make this choice.
Not to you, no. The choice will ultimately lie within Dash.
Okay. Okay.
And as she sits there with you, or stands there with you, um, the camera pans, shifting to a new perspective. And that's where we're going to take a quick break, because I got to use the bathroom.
Yay! Me too.
Okay.
Ooh, what a
We'll
body
be
jump.
back so soon.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome back. The camera pans and shifts, and we find ourselves sat at a very nice banquet table. Narissa, you're in a pleasantly nice dress, and there's various servants coming to and from, dropping off different courses of meals. And they set down like a very nice, amenable meal in front of you. And there's silverware at both sides, as there should be. What would you like to do?
I'd like to look. It's just me
No, there's a lot of different people there.
at the table.
At the table, yeah, sat at the table. But as you look at them, they have like no faces, but not like no faces, like they don't have any facial features.
Okay, so I don't recognize anyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to pick up a fork and I am so glad that John is on the same page. I'm going to pick up a fork and gently tap the person's hand who's next to me and see if there's a reaction.
Just like tap them with the fork.
Like, take the fork and like kind of.
Okay. You do that, and they kind of like shuffle their hand and kind of use it to like gesture and talk to the invisible person that they're talking to that doesn't have a face.
But they don't give me any attention.
No.
I'm going to push back my chair and try and stand up from the table.
Okay, you do that.
Do I recognize the room that I'm in?
Nope, it's just this really nice banquet hall. There's a table that can sit easily like 30 people. You were sat like in the middle of it, just long-wise. But there's food all the way lined around.
Well, I will grab a fruit of some sort to go, and I'm gonna walk around the table, eat a little snack.
You do that, and yep, it seems like they're having like different conversations as you listen into it. Unlike how Shades was, where there's like reverberating sound, it sounds like they're talking, but it's just like in a language you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can I stick my hand in front of somebody's face at some point to see if they acknowledge that, or if I'm just totally being ignored?
It seems like you're being ignored.
Great. I'm gonna... I'm going to hike my skirt up just a little bit and crawl up into the middle of the table, and I'm going to stand on the table and just go, hello? Hello? I was told there was a god here. Hello? Nobody?
And they're all just like,
Okay, this is creepy. I'm gonna...
says the person who stood on top of a table.
How is that
How's that
creepy?
creepy?
But not creepy.
Not demure, not mindful.
I'm going to, I guess, kick a few things off the table as I hop back down, and then go to the door and see if I can open the door from this dining room.
Yeah, you can do that, and you get down, and there seems to be like servants that come to like pick up the food, and they're like questioning, like, what? And they set it back down, and then clear off the food that fell, and start to head out. But you go to these double doors and like open them up, and you see all masses of people just kind of like strewn about in this very large like mansion type building.
All right. So just wander down the hallway.
Wander down the hall, and then there seems to be a set of stairs that like pivot out into two different directions, kind of a mirror going down to the lower floor.
And what do I? Is it like Cinderella stairs, so I can like look down over the edge? Of
Yeah.
Is there still party happening with more people?
Mm-hmm. And there seems to be people like getting ushered in from the main sort of foyer area. And it just like seems prominent, well-to-do people.
Hello? Nobody? Wow. I was told not to do this, but when have I ever listened to anybody ever? I'm going to cast just a little just a cute little baby void shot at somebody. I'm gonna shoot someone off the balcony and just see if they react to getting shot.
Roll to hit.
Cantrip. I feel like I have to say that. 19.
Yeah, you completely deck this one lady, and she like topples like a brick. And like there's a ushering of people that kind of like go to her aid. But they like look around, but kind of like look through you as they try and figure out like what just happened.
Huh. This does not feel like I'm gonna get to talk to anyone anytime soon. So I'm going to just go wander around. I'm gonna go wander around, and since I'm getting ignored, I'm gonna try to steal something off of someone.
Okay.
Poke people, button their jackets, just be a general nuisance until a goddess decides to show up and talk to me.
So like,
Open all the windows.
roll me a D100.
Oh my god. Yes, put one person's hand in another person's hand. Yes, thank you. 79.
So roughly 79 minutes later, you have like various accoutrements. There's like necklaces and jewelry that aren't yours. You have caused a fluffle of chaos in your midst. People seem to react as if, you know, what would you do if your hand magically was in somebody's pocket or their pants? They're reacting like they would be. They're just not noticing your presence in the aspect. And as the 79-minute kind of like hits to its teeter, and you've had like loads of fun, by the way. There's like a montage of Narissa effects of what you can get away with. You kind of get bored and make it to like either the stairs and like take a seat, or just like the front when you first enter into the mansion, take a seat.
Yeah, so after 79 minutes of thoroughly enjoying myself, I'm going to go out where people are being ushered in and sit down on the front steps and pull out a brooch, a pointy, sticky thingy, and just really gently stab the end of my finger and see if it hurts. Does it draw blood?
As you do that, roll me a wisdom save. You do that, and a trickle of blood kind of like pools up in your finger, and as it starts to drip, your entire vision sort of shifts, and you're floating in like a space. And you look around, and it kind of seems like an abyss as far as you can see. There's like stars and other things, but abyss mostly outward. And then you see something that only Shade has seen up until this point. And it's this visage horror of the triumvirate just devouring everything in its wake. And as it gets closer, you can see an army of different races and beings kind of like fighting amidst all of the chaos. As if it's just like a ball of chaos hurled through space with its own just like chaotic war happening all throughout, envelopes within its not body. Body would be too tangible a word, but just mass. And it gets closer and closer and closer. And then it devours you into this darkness as you're consumed by it. And for a while it's quiet, uncomfortably so. And you hear like dripping. But with it being pitch black, it's just this audible, just like tap, drip, sploosh, over and over and over again.
Can I move?
Yes, you start to move and you feel like you're in a slush of like water or liquid, but the sound of like your attire being wet kind of like hits the surface, and that those drips continue.
From a direction, or just like in general things are drippy?
Just dripping off of your like wet clothes.
Okay. Is there light?
No light.
Can there be light?
You create light?
Yeah.
Okay. You create light and you see like does your light have any color, or is it just like white light?
It's like a nicely peachy
Okay.
orange yellow light.
Okay, so that color kind of like reverberates in the space, and aside from like the pool of black that you're standing in, there's hints of that like peachy yellow orangish color hitting the surface.
And it's just void and wet. Well, this is markedly less fun than a party. Gonna just start walking.
You feel the slush of your feet kind of like moving through maybe ankle deep water. At least you hope it's water. And as you slosh around for a bit, what happens at the end, Nerissa?
The end of what?
If you defeat the triumvirate, what do you do next?
If I survive, I suppose I rebuild. If I don't survive, I guess we'll see. They did have an offer, becoming a god. don't know how that works if I don't survive the triumphant. I've spelled it 18 different ways in my notebook. I definitely need to copy it down correctly.
So your decision's based on survival.
I mean, no. My decision is based on what the world seems like after. If we survive but everything's decimated, then rebuilding and helping seems like a better choice than ascending and floating up into the sky and seeming not to care very much, as the current gods don't seem to have a particular vested interest in being active participants of the world that they've helped to create.
We did not necessarily create this world.
You didn't not help shape it.
We were embodied into gods and goddesses.
So what will you do when it ends?
There is nothing that remains within Achordia. But so long as the triumvirate lives, we cannot leave this place. I think, if given the choice, I would cling to what you said of rebuilding, but I would build anew.
That is a version of rebuilding.
Why did you choose not to ascend? Wouldn't it be easier?
Life isn't always about the easy choices. Sometimes it's about the more interesting ones. Plus, I was told I had to give up my soul to ascend, and it could be argued that your soul is the thing that gives you life and the thing that gives you your spark. And who's to say I wouldn't be something different if I gave that up? And until I fully understand, I'm not entirely sure I want to commit to something where I'm giving up a part of me.
Can I take you somewhere?
Do I have a choice?
Yes, you can say no, and I won't take you.
All right, let's go.
And she kind of like whisks y'all away, and you're walking down a hallway. Y'all as in her and her.
I was just assuming the singular y'all versus all y'all.
Yeah.
Thanks.
She whisked Narissa and herself away. Clarity.
Y'all.
Yeah. narrative me speaking of. Anyways, y'all are walking down a hall, and Narissa, you smell
Bread? Don't you dare say bread.
blood.
Oh. That is quite different than bread.
Hopefully. Lots of it. You hear screams and distant yells.
Is this a new hallway?
Yes. Halls are made of some kind of metal that you can't put your finger on. And there's different lights that don't seem to have any flicker of fire attached to it. There's kind of like a hum and an echo as your footsteps continue down the path. And she stops just shy of a very large, like, broad door.
Where are we?
We are in a place much akin to your true lineage. We are at the Empire.
And what is it you'd like to show me?
What's on the other side of this door? Should you choose?
Give me a break. You know Narissa's pushing through the woman hasn't had a door that she hasn't opened.
So you go, and it's just this very large metal door. None like you've ever seen before. It seems almost excessive in how heavy it is compared to any normal doors that you've come across. But it opens nonetheless. And as you enter into the new space, you see a bunch of different bodies kind of shackled to strapped tables against both the walls and like layered in the room. And all of these bodies have like a kind of opaque, iridescent skin tone to them. Much like how you've seen shade in their natural form. And you look around, and some of the bodies are just mangled to bits. There's no response because this form has not survived what has been subject to them. And you enter, walking past various corpses, and you see one move down at the far end of the room.
I'm gonna move towards the one that's still moving.
Okay, you move and you see Shade shackled to a table. There's a bunch of like bloody utensil instruments next to them, and they kind of like have their eyes closed, but their body's like minutely twitching. And around their like side, like the left side underneath their rib cage, there's a bunch of different insertion points and you watch as the body's like slowly repairing it by like morphing it back to its natural state before Shade just gives out a audible sigh. And then you hear footsteps coming from the hallway that you were just in. You have to make a decision. What you choose now will forever determine what happens to Shade in the future. We can leave, if that's what you wish. Or you can make a choice.
To save him.
Yes.
That's my choice. I don't unshackle him.
So roll me investigation.
Sorry, Jade. Sometimes you make plans and then you roll a 6.
Nice. You look around.
Yeah, 6.
And there's no like key or key holster or anything like that nearby. But he is, or they are shackled to the table nonetheless. And these shackles are just like large metal, not gonna open up with just like prying or anything like that.
Hold on. I've got to go that. Not fun. Do they look like I could care? Are they magical? They look magic?
Nope.
They just are straight up shackles.
Yeah.
Boo.
How dare the Tri-Period Empire not use magic? Unheard of.
It was worth a question. You never know. Never trust anything that has the word empire in it. Can I... Do they look like they can be broken off if I can't unlock them?
Not like easily. They definitely look reinforced. How dare I think that Narissa is an actual like sorcerer? She's like, I got all these spells, but I don't got any good ones.
Correct.
You give up your soul and become a goddess, you know.
I know.
Are you saying anything during this like frantic moment?
Not at the moment, but then once she realizes that those are not easily come and unlocked, she's gonna turn back around. How do we get out of here?
And she looks at you. I can offer assistance, but this may change your destiny.
I'm so sorry. I got so flustered. Chains, no locks, very thick. Correct?
Yes.
Voices outside the hallway.
It's like footsteps.
Footsteps. Stacks, you know I don't have any spells that are useful. Why do you think I haven't cast any? Hold, please.
You have the jacket, right? Or the coat.
It's not in my inventory because you gave it to me. No, I didn't. Wait, did
You're
I?
not there.
I mean, technically, but also.
I mean,
That's
but
true.
also. Hold, please.
Hold, please.
Hold, please. I'm having a panic.
She sticks her head out. Please don't come any further. We're processing something.
That just Wait. That just hides me. I want out of here.
Wait, what are you talking about?
What?
What are you talking about?
I'm not gonna say anything.
I'm so confused. I apologize. I've full panicked myself into being unsure what's going on.
Oh.
Fireball's always the answer. I don't even have a fireball, okay?
What kind of sorcerer?
Not
This
good
on you,
one.
DM.
Okay.
It's actually the wrong answer in this case, but it's always the answer.
It might take care of the shackles.
And shade.
And shade. R.I.P.
You'll be free.
But as long as, like, you know,
Okay.
you got some way to heal.
Girl, have you met me? Do I seem like I have something to heal?
I am now deeply curious what spells she does have.
Girl, I mean, I've got some pretty good spells. They are just not useful in this given situation. Does it look like there's a key? There's no lock. I don't know why I'm asking for a fucking key. I have stressed myself out.
You don't have any, like, damagey spell that you can just repeatedly use on it until it breaks?
I mean, that's what I was going to ask next, but he said the chains were really thick. And
Wait, what kind of thing are you going to try and do?
I was going to try to... Great question. Where did I go?
Maybe there's a spoken password and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, it's password.
I'm just gonna polymorph Shade into a cute little animal and put him in my pocket.
Okay, you do that. No problem. They are unconscious, so they fail the save. The cute critter goes in your pocket. No problem. Then you hear the door start to open.
Great. That is a concentration spell. So now the cloak goes up, and I'm gonna go try and find a place to hide, I guess.
Okay. Roll me a stealth check.
Bless. 19.
Okay. Door opens. You manage to hide behind just like one of the larger tables that's towards the back. This very large human-looking male walks in wearing some kind of like bloody science jacket and shuffles his way over, unlatches one of the dead corpses and kind of like drags them out of the room, and then comes back and collects another before dragging that one out of the room and then closing the door, and you hear them shuffle off down the hall again.
Okay, little buddy. Guess it's time to leave. For the record, she has turned Shade into
Luck for
Hey.
Narissa.
a small, very adorable chick.
Like
Baby-
chicken?
Duckling. Ducklings are cuter. They've got cute little webbed feet.
Okay.
Very squishy. Pocket-sized.
All right, now we need to leave. This way.
Cool. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that, I guess.
And she leads you out, and you see like a vent tunnel eventually, and you kind of like open it, slip in, start to crawl your way out for a very long period of time. Then you come out on the other side, and you're outside this like very dystopian future looking building. Doesn't look like anything you've ever seen or encountered. Sci-fi for the chat, but for Narissa it's just like night and day. And eventually you lead this like baby duckling version of Shade out to the surface. How long does polymorph last?
An hour. Pause. An hour.
Okay. As you get close to that hour, you can feel your magic kind of like about to wane. And you let the baby chick out, free outside of the immediate pathway of where they just were. And you watch it like waddle, waddle, and waddle away. Waddle, waddle.
Can you leave this campaign?
Sounds like you just did.
Nice.
And
it asks if you have any grapes.
she does.
you
She
my
has
mommy?
grapes from
Do I
when she
find
took them
11
out
or
of the
10?
party.
I do have grapes. I do, in fact, have grapes.
Shade, around this time, the baby chick version of you turns progressively back into a humanoid. And you kind of like limply fall on the ground, not knowing where you are, but you see the area that you just came from, and you know you don't want to go back there. And you kind of continue onward. And in that moment, Narissa and Shade, you appear in an open space. And Shade, those memories of Narissa helping you escape are finally unlocked to you.
It was you. I don't even let you say anything. I just run up to it and hug it.
Just hug it back. Despite having previously said no touching.
Hey,
I couldn't leave you in there. I'm sorry you went through that.
hey. Like you saved me. I'll literally do it. I'll do anything to protect you.
That's not going to be necessary. We're all going to survive this just fine.
Narissa.
Let's make it to the end and make sure that promise can be kept, okay?
I pledge myself to you. In those memories that I saw of Narissa, did I ever see her in the mansion? Just being ignored or anything?
No, it would have been the moment that she entered into the room that you were in.
No, I'm saying like when I saw her memories.
Oh, no.
No? Okay. If that's the case, then I'll say this. I'll always have faith in you. You not only saved me from dying when we went through that judgment, you saved me back then. Anything in my power, within my power, I will pledge myself to you, no matter what.
Could we just say we're friends and call it to that?
No. You got me out of the Empire.
I mean, I'd do it again. You know, I haven't known you very long, but I have learned in my whole 20 years of existence that some people are worth saving time and time again.
And just like you are worth saving. And acknowledging. I believe it's always been you.
Well, to be fair, it wasn't me up until about 10 minutes ago. Not entirely sure how this timeline thing works.
There's something that Jade wants to do, but I don't know if you should do it. So for now, I'll just kiss you on the forehead. Thank you. And just kind of, I guess, wait to see what happens.
And despite all of her deflecting, she's just gonna pull him in tight and just hug him and just cry just a little bit on his shoulder.
And Narissa, the first tear that kind of like goes into Shade's shoulder fabric, you're hit with a vision.
Motherfucker.
And it's that same day, but later, a woman comes in. Where is the other subject? Were they not here? No, Mom. You dare lie to me? She kind of like walks around slowly. What is this? And she kneels down and grabs a single strand of loose hair, long and almost platinum in color. And she looks around the room. This will suffice. For now. Clean this mess. And she kind of exits out, pocketing the hair into her jacket. And you blink, Narissa, and you're hugging Shade once again.
You know how they say that everything affects something. So I don't know if you've picked up on this, but I do have a habit of seeing things that haven't happened or have happened, or
I know.
saving you just now might have messed some things up. So we might have incurred the wrath of someone new. Just so you have a heads up. Past might come looking for us.
That's fine. I just got my memories back, so it's worth it.
So what'd you see?
What did I see?
Yeah. You got your memories back?
A long life of sneaking, stealing, joy, all the things that come with life, but also loss. But that's okay.
Very vague answer.
I went through a lot after escaping. I found my way through to the Thieves Guild. It wasn't entirely for me, but I made it work to try to fight against the Empire. And because of that, that's who I am now. Sure, I've lost a lot, but all that loss is worth it to be here with you.
All right. Well, where do you think the rest of them went?
And as she says that, the camera pans once more. And we find ourselves in the presence of Gage.
Oh my god, we haven't even done Gage yet.
Waiting very patient.
You're back in your tower, fortress. However, as you look out at the scenery, it's much different than you last left it. There's lush green foliage and a livened area of different creatures and things moving about. You see airships and all sorts of occupied space, but mostly you see color, much like you have when entering into Achordia. How does this look to you, Gage?
Disconcerting.
Why?
It is not what I left.
But is it not what you fight for now?
I did not fight to change this world. Does this world function the same?
This world functions in unison.
Then that might be all right.
I have decided to accompany your party on your endeavor.
I am grateful.
There is still something you may be able to assist with.
Yes.
And your vision shifts as you're back with Gil. And she's kind of contemplating her decision. And you watch as Gage kind of appears in that moment, Gil. Creeps.
Okay. Wait, so Gage just like appeared while like right after Eeyore asked the questions?
Yeah.
Or Ilor.
It's canon now.
You're gonna kill me.
Okay.
Doesn't that pin hurt?
Huh? Oh, the tail on
Eeyore.
Eeyore.
Yeah.
Does he pin the tail on the donkey? Yeah, I just like was about to do a thing, but then Gage appeared, and I'm like, and I look between them, confused.
Perhaps
I am told I can render assistance.
Assist away.
I have
What do
given
you require assistance with?
the offer of what you are willing to give up.
Right. I mean, to save the world, I would give up just about anything that's within my own power to give up, but I wouldn't give anything on someone else's behalf.
What if you had to?
Give up something on someone else's behalf?
Yes.
Oh, free will is pretty fucking important. It's like, what's the point without it? That'd be taking away someone else's.
Your party member, Dash, should he sacrifice himself, he will be able to open the gate that leads to the Truvant.
I don't know. He has to make that decision for himself. I don't know if he should or shouldn't. I would never ask that of someone.
Do you see that there is an impasse? Should he choose to not?
Perhaps. I mean, is that the only possible way?
Dash is made of pure ether.
Mm-hmm.
Being that he is a unique family member, his composition is that of not normal mortals. But because of his unique properties, he is essentially the key that can open the gate.
Mm-hmm. The only key. Can't like blast our way through some other way?
There's no
Finesse our
way
way through?
that any of you would be able to produce enough ether to...
I mean, locks can be opened with a key, but they can also be picked. Is there a way we could pick this lock?
This is not a normal lock. It's an ether consumption. Normally, you might have other choices should the planet have survived to this point, but unfortunately, Achordia is dead.
Does Dashkin possess a soul?
Good question.
I would not know this. That is not my dominion.
Who would know?
Potentially the goddess of rapture.
I'll have to talk to her. Would it take all of the ether that makes up him? Is there a way to make him like a mortal boy and just use his powers? Pretty please?
Potentially. That may take some training, but I wouldn't rule it out.
Okay. What kind of training? What are we talking here?
If he can learn to harness his powers in time, he may be able to wield enough ether to open the gate of his own will.
Okay. Is there anyone or anything that could assist him in learning to harness his powers? We're gonna pick that fucking lock.
She kind of like thinks for a bit.
Plus, like, Mal will never let him sacrifice himself, so...
There is the god of reality, the one who's created myself and my siblings outside of Ysilde and Sin, for they created
Right.
him.
Right, what god was that name again?
Lirov.
Lirov. Bad Lirov.
He constructed the gate as well as knows how it can be opened.
So he might not be happy about someone opening it if he put it there.
Yes, but it's a posable question nonetheless.
It is. Okay. We can work with this. Thank you.
I have told Gage that I will assist you. You all seemed very determined. And should you be successful, I believe that my dominion may no longer be necessary in such a capacity.
Okay.
Would you claim another dominion?
I don't know if I would.
That would be, I assume, your choice to make.
And you all kind of like reappear back in each other's space, and you see Orden kind of having tea with Dash. And they're like sat on two various sized mushrooms. Ah! You finished, have you?
Apparently.
Are you all alright? You've been gone for quite some time.
Wait. All of us or just them?
All of you. It's been
How long
hours.
is- Oh my gosh, time passed
It
in the
has
game.
been minutes.
Felt like fucking hours.
I had a very brief conversation. It should not have taken hours.
So, have you all convinced my sister whether or not she will join us?
Yes.
Question:
Hmm.
Do we appear like hugging each other?
If that's how y'all last left.
I don't feel like I asked her to do anything.
I've made a decision myself. Based on how you all have faced my various circumstances.
Happy to be of service.
Yeah.
All right, is there another god or goddess that you wish to speak with next?
I think we need to talk to Dash.
Me?
We.
No, I mean, you want to talk to me. I mean, normally
Dash
y'all
is here.
just... Yeah, he's sitting on
He
the
was
other one.
having He was having tea when we came out.
Yeah.
Normally y'all just make decisions and I kind of tag along.
Well, this one really does involve you and what you choose. But I think there's more to it. Or I hope is.
So it sounds like you are the key to getting through the thing that starts with
The
T.
barrier.
The barrier. And it could potentially cost you your life unless, because that would be your choice to make, unless you learn to control your abilities hella quick, and then you could choose to open it but still be okay.
Didn't we start this whole adventure off with trying to find someone to train him how to use his powers?
Yeah, we did. I'm sorry, I genuinely can't remember her actual name now. I just want to call her Eeyore.
Oh, Ilor. Ilor.
Ilor suggested Lira may be of some assistance with helping young Master Dash control his abilities.
Well, we were going to talk to him anyway.
Yeah. But, he created the gate that we want to plow our way through, so...
I
There's that.
believe it is important that if you do not master your abilities, you will be destroyed when you open the gate. So the motivation should be considerable.
Unless you want to be destroyed.
Or unless you don't want to risk it at all and open the gate and let the world end. I mean, that is your prerogative. No one is going to force you to sacrifice yourself, right?
She's just like looking at the other party members.
I know Mal won't. Not
Wait.
looking at Mal.
So, Lirov can teach Dash, but Dash is the only one with enough power. Does a god not have enough power?
I
Not
don't know.
not any of us. The only other ones that would potentially be Sin and Ysilde, but I believe even the creation of the gate was not shared with them.
Interesting. All right.
So this is an important issue because no matter how many people or gods or goddesses we recruit, it won't matter if we don't get through the gate and get through the barrier to the other side.
Correct.
Right.
So maybe this should be our first focus.
Maybe both Sin and Isilde together could. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, this would be a good focus.
I want to hope that when Lirov created the gate and the barrier, it was out of benevolence in order to keep what was on the other side of it away. And if that is the case, then hopefully he would have that same benevolence in order to aid us to destroy what's on the other side. But I don't know.
I mean,
It's not always good to assume someone else's goodwill.
you know what they say about assuming.
That's right.
It makes an Eeyore out of you.
That was kind of my point, but I was just saying it a different way.
I am unfamiliar with this expression.
It makes an ass out of you and me, Gage. Get it? An ass is a donkey.
And then the letter U. And then the word me.
It's supposed to be funny, but it's not funny if we have to explain it.
It also is supposed to help you remember how to spell the word.
Real question. Dash can take the time that he needs. Not that much time, but the time that he needs to make the decision. However, should we still seek out Lirov to discuss with him if he will join us? And if he will help Dash learn anything?
Abso-frickin-lutely, yeah.
Great. Also, if Yasilde could have taught him how to do this in the first place, why did she?
She couldn't.
Why?
Because Lirov didn't share the knowledge of how the gate was created with
No. I'm saying Yasilde has the power and the ability to teach Dash how to control his mojo.
Ours.
Why didn't she do that instead of appearing to us as a phoenix and telling us to go take care of the boy?
Perhaps she thought you could do it.
I mean, do I look like I can do it?
Maybe.
Gage, don't answer that.
Maybe it was a challenge to test to get us up to speed in order to prepare us for what battle is to come.
Perception checks.
Deception.
21.
How does this button work again?
21.
Oh,
Not 20
come
for
on.
29.
29?
Not 20 for a 29.
2 for an 11.
Nice. So everybody but Gage notices, maybe because they're behind him. Ilor and Orden have stopped moving.
Motherfucker.
Like, stop walking or frozen in place?
Motherfucker.
Like, stopped moving
Frozen
completely.
time. Like a time stop spell.
Hold, please.
Bravo.
Time to go?
So somebody else is
Time
here.
to go.
What is wrong?
Where?
I don't know.
And Gage, you like look behind you and you see a very frozen, like mid-sip Orden for his tea, and Ilor.
Is he dribbling out? Or is it also frozen?
It's also frozen. And a not as drippy Ilor, where normally the blight would just kind of like continuously cascade.
If there is
Dash.
any cover in the area, I go for it while drawing my bow. And looking
I
the
approach
fuck
the
around.
frozen gods.
All right, who's out there?
So as this is happening, I'm gonna go up to Dash and tell him you can control it. You can control your power. Whatever this is, you could stop it.
I'm not doing this.
I know. I know this isn't you. But you could stop it. You're a lot more powerful than you think. If you're the key to opening that gate, you have a lot more potential than you think. Just focus on what you could do now to stop whatever's going to happen.
Or just start long enough for us to teleport.
Dash, look at me.
I'm
got
looking
this.
at you. Okay. Yes.
You've got this. Focus. You've done this before, unknowingly.
And he kind of like uneasily looks at Maul and Gil and Narissa and Gage, then back to Shade. Okay, I'll try. I'll try. And he walks over to where Gage is by the gods, kind of like extends his hand out. Move? Please?
Be assertive.
Try moving your hand like this. And she's gonna like show him how she casts Dispel Magic, but she doesn't cast it herself.
Okay, roll a performance check.
Be a bardic. That's a D8.
A D8, a D8, a D8.
And I'm also going to give him a bardic, which is also a D8.
That's 27 plus 5, 32.
Okay. So he mimics how you teach him to do that, Narissa, and... Okay. Narissa, you almost see like a slight distortion as there's like a flicker in his hand movement. And then Gage and the others who are looking at the gods, you'll see a momentary shift before they continue with their next patterned movement would have been, which is, Orden continued to drink from his tea. But they see that you all are in kind of like separate spaces than where they last left. I believe we're no longer alone.
Yeah, I was, while they were doing that, I was kind of facing out, looking for where this interference might be coming from.
I promise to explain, but can we leave?
Sure. Where to?
Literally anywhere else.
Okay.
The sooner we get to Lirov, the better.
Lirov, preferably, but let's all go. Sorry, Ior, you're going with us? Ilore?
Ilor?
She like sobs. No one ever remembers my name.
Oh, whoa.
As the real source of sorrow.
As Orden goes to slam his staff on the ground to open up a portal, you watch as a similar distortion effect happens in front of all of you, and Lirov appears. It would seem after quite some time. I shall assist mankind once more. And he looks like directly and solely at Narissa. And that's where we're going to end it. Ba-dum-bum-bum. Yay!
We did it.
We did it. We didn't die. No
We
one
did it.
died.
We did it. Yay, we did it.
Oh
We
my
were
god.
traumatized.
Yay. We got memories back.
traumatized
Oh my gosh.
I was so ready to fight. Like, my trauma is irrelevant to this cause. Kind of like, let's go. All right.
Listen, I was like, I'm gonna do the lock spell, and I kept scrolling. But did you also know that you can hear that from 1,000,000 miles away? So it would have been
Oh, even louder, like
Yeah.
knock and then try and hide.
yeah,
Like 300 feet or something like that.
yeah. It's 300 feet. It's an echoing boom.
Hey, it all
Dang.
worked out, sorta, kinda. I mean, you never know.
Almost turned Shade into a fish and killed him. But whatever.
We won't be back next Friday, but we'll probably be back the 15th and maybe 22nd. We'll look at the calendar. But stick around. We're gonna raid. Hope you have a good weekend. And yeah, thank you for spending your Fridays with us and our trauma dumping. It's fine.
Happy day after Halloween.
Happy Hallows
Almost
Eve.
hugged her.
Happy
Thank
Hallows.
goodness
Day
Jane
of
showed
the
up.
Dead.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We'll see you all next time. Okay, bye. See ya.
Bye bye.